All right. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another education and support group. This is live. So if you're watching this Saturday, August 23rd at 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you are watching this currently as I'm speaking. And if you happen to watch this at another time, my hope is that you find some value in it. Thank you for those of you who are here live and sharing a slice of your Saturday morning with me. A couple things about this and what we do here in case you're new. So my name is Param. We've been doing this for the past 5 years on Saturdays. And if you ever are interested in watching any more of these videos, if you go to our YouTube page and go to Buckeye Recovery Network and click on the lives, you will see all of the database and all the videos that we have. And the interesting part is you'll see me in various different lengths of hair and facial hair and just stages of life, we'll call it. But what was I going to say is, I got a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I am licensed as an advanced alcohol and drug counselor. I have been coaching high school basketball, some head coach, some assistant coach for the past 17 years. I teach at Saddleback Community College in the School of Health and Wellness. Currently, I'm teaching a class called The Physiological Effects of Drugs and Alcohol. And for those of you who are in the recovery journey yourself, I've been in the recovery process since June 13th of 2008, so 17 years, but who's counting? And got my mom and dad here watching. Sometimes it's just us three. So it's my mom and dad watching, and I'm giving a lecture to them about the recovery process, but who cares at the end of the day? Someday someone will see this. I always get excited on YouTube when some random person just writes, "Hey, I just watched your video for the first time, and I want to let you know how much it helped me out." So one day someone will watch this and it'll add value to their world. Let me get into what we want to do today. So today we're going to talk about this thing called healing. So we know what the recovery process is to regain something that's been lost, stolen, or destroyed. But healing is interesting. So recovery as it relates to healing means it's taking a journey of the self, through the self, and ultimately to the self. So you want to take a look at yourself, of the self, good, bad, and different. Do you have the courage to take a look at yourself? Do you want to, then you want to explore it. Once you see things, you have to go deep into it and explore it, the depths of it, the roots of it. Are you willing to go there? Some people are, some people aren't, because sometimes there's some darkness there that people don't want to look at. And eventually, once you work through that, you connect to the self, which is the whole process of recovery. Now, healing journeys are some things that happen. So if you've never heard this talk, I always say this is for anybody who firsthand or secondhand has ever experienced pain as a result of addictions, mental illness, trauma, or grief and loss. Now, these things are important because they disconnect somebody from themselves. The trauma, when things are done to us, or things that should have happened never happened, grief and loss, which can really disconnect somebody from who they are. The addiction process, obviously, and anything related to mental illness. So healing is something we have to do. So what I want to do today is talk about the healing journey, and I want to talk about the different components that I believe are important. So how do I know these are important? Well, it's not like this is not scientific information I'm sharing with you. Most of it you probably already know yourself anyways. It's just good to hear it from a different perspective. And where I gathered it is as a clinician, I sat down with a lot of people over the course of 15, 16, 17 years. And over that course of time, you start to see the ones that heal, they have certain things that they do. And the ones that don't have certain things that they do. So I kind of get put together and I created the acronym of healing, HEALING. And we're going to go one letter at a time. And we will start with the letter H, which says honor your pain. One thing I would strongly suggest that you do as a human being when you're trying to heal is don't ever, 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 ever minimize your pain. Don't say, well, it's not that big of a deal. My pain is okay, but compared to somebody else's, it's barely anything. Listen, pain is pain is pain. I understand that it's all relevant, but it's not relevant to the self, like to your mind, to your spirit, to your soul. So whatever pain that you are in, make sure that you honor it. You never want to say things like, hey, just get over it. Just get over it. Because people get over things, which doesn't even exist. People heal through things, in different paces. There's people that I've seen that someone passes away in their life and a year later they're totally okay. And I've seen people that someone passes away 15 years later, they can't work through it. So just getting over something is not that easy. Pain also comes in other different forms too. It's a messenger. And you always want to honor it. Because here's the thing. What do people honor in life? What are some things that we honor in life? Well, things that are honorable, things that are valuable, things that mean something. Pain is the top of the list of that kind of stuff. Yes, the same pain that we run from and we're scared of, it needs to be honored because it actually has the transformative power to create a completely different version of self. Completely different version of self. Now, the E for healing is express compassion. Now, most people, especially the ones that are choosing to listen to me talk on a Saturday on a channel like this and reading the topic, understanding the healing journey and choosing to still watch it anyways, I have a feeling that you're going to be on the compassionate side of things. That's just the way you are. That's who you are. However, I also have a feeling that your compassion tends to lean more or gravitate more or push more or pull more, whatever, towards external things and not yourself. Compassion that is not extended to self is incomplete. Like some people I know are willing to take the shirts off their back to make sure someone else is not cold, and they sit there and they shiver. It's okay to do that once in a while. But for those of you who do it all the time, the martyr, what kind of benefit does that have? The world's going to come and say, wow, you're so unselfish. You always take your shirt off your back and give it to other people, and you just sit there and shake yourself. It doesn't work that way, because if you're shaking there yourself, and these are all metaphors, you're not doing anything for yourself or anybody else. So how about helping the person find a shirt that they can wear, right? While you wear your own shirt. And if you don't understand metaphors, this talk has completely, you won't understand a word I'm saying right now, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. And the other thing is you always want to tap into this thing called empathy. And empathy is it's a transformative emotion, because if I want to be empathic towards somebody else, what I truly need to do is, can I sit down and see the world the way that they are seeing it in that moment? Can I hear the world the way they're hearing it in that moment? Can I experience and understand what they're going through? If I can get into that, then I've tapped into empathy. Empathy is not like, oh, I know what you feel. I know how you feel. That's not empathy. It's barely sympathy, right? It's putting myself in another person's world. And that's really the expressing compassion, expressing empathy. These are things that if you were trying to heal, you got to be able to do. You have to be able to do. Because one of the things when people have a resentment on somebody is can you put yourself into their world and see what they might have been going through? Some people can, some people can't. One of the things that happens with multi-generational abuse, maybe some kid was abused his life and later on becomes an abuser. I don't justify it, because I believe cycles are meant to be broken. However, if you can have the empathy to understand that someone's journey also had pain in it too, it doesn't excuse the behavior, doesn't make it right, but at least it helps you understand. And when you understand, things can change. The way we view things can change. The next one is the A, which is accept the process. So first and foremost, what we have to do is understand what the word process means. Process means a series of actions and steps taken in a specific order to achieve a certain outcome. That's the word process. Definition-wise, go look up a dictionary. I told you the truth. And then you got to accept it. So the process is this, and now you got to accept it. But a lot of times people don't want to accept the process because it's too hard, because it's too long, because it's too boring, because it's too scary, because it's too emotionally engaging. They just want to kind of just get through it. Just push it aside and get through it. You can't do that. My best analogy that I share here is, let's say you want to go on a road trip, and the road trip says it's 2,500 miles away. You either accept that it's 2,500 miles away or you don't. If you don't, you say, okay, well, I'm going to get there in 500 miles. No, you're not. In 500 miles you're going to go, you're still going to be 2,000 miles away. But you're going to look around and say, what the heck? How come it doesn't look like the way I thought it was going to look? And people make a U-turn and go right back to where they came from immediately. So it's important to understand that the process of healing is a process. You might have to do some work on your growing up, what it was like, the wounds that have been created in you. You might have to look at your current life. How have those wounds impacted your world? And you might have to look at your future. Do I want my world to continue to look like my past? If the answer is I'm going to do, and no, I don't, then you got to do something about it. That's how the healing journey begins. That's how it continues, and that's how it ends. And by the way, we're always healing from something. The next one that I have here is looking forward with hope. So every small step matters. One sober day at a time, one therapy session at a time, one moment of peace at a time. Why does one sober moment at a time matter? Well, hey, for those of you who have never struggled with addiction, you might not understand this. But for those of you who have struggled with addiction or are struggling with addiction, you know that getting one day sometimes is the hardest thing in the world to do. And I'm telling you, if you don't know this, if you're like, well, what do you mean? Like you just can't do it for a day? No. And every morning the person says, I'm not going to do it today. And then they do it again. And you might say, what a weak person. I promise you it's not willpower. It just isn't, because some of the strongest people I've ever met in the world are people that are recovering. Their willpowers at some point becomes, you won't even imagine what kind of things they could do. So one sober day at a time matters. One therapy session matters. When you have to sit there and you have to uncover some darkness and some stuff that you endured and experienced in life and it's painful, like celebrate that. It matters. It's a part of the healing journey. And one moment of peace at a time matters. You want to know why? Because for many people who are healing, they don't know peace. Life is just one long chaos. It's just a bunch of sadness. It's just a bunch of pain. Good morning, everyone. Saying good morning. Jale Sue. Khale Sue, by the way, made me a Persian food. It's called korma sabzi, and she made it vegetarian style because I don't eat meat, and it was fantastic. So Khale, if you can hear me right now, I want you to know your food was great. I pretty much didn't share it with anybody. I ate it all myself, and I'm proud of it. Okay. So you want to look for it. So the reason why people, they don't understand, they need to celebrate peace is because they've always had chaos. And as soon as something is peaceful, you know what they think? Oh my God, something bad's about to happen. It's the calm before the storm. But eventually you have to be able to identify and celebrate just the calm moments, because the more you become familiar with them, the more you can maintain them. No need for chaos. The I of healing is identify your triggers. So when you're trying to heal, life is going to keep throwing things at you. That's really going to test your commitment and your motivation and desire to heal. You know, it's going to test you. It's going to give you little feelers. And if you don't know what your triggers are and you don't know how you will respond to those triggers, because triggers are also messengers, then it's going to derail you from your healing journey. And it usually comes at a time when you're vulnerable. It comes at a time when you're tired. It comes at a time when you're up to here. But that's a part of the process. If you accept the process, you have to accept the fact that you're going to get triggered. Getting triggered is a natural and normal part of this whole thing. It really, really is. And what you do with it. So knowing what sets you off gives you power to respond differently. When I know the things that can derail me, when I know them psychologically, when I face them, I have the choice now. Do I allow it to go? So for example, I'm not an angry person. I'm working on being able to express my anger, feel my anger. And if I get angry, you know what I'm like, what I want to do, learn to do, hope to do, and this is what I coach people to do, by the way, too, is you just say, okay, I'm feeling angry now, and getting up and just walking away, taking some breaths, whether you come back an hour later, 5 hours later, a day later, and just coming back with a complete new commitment to work through whatever the process was. See, if anger triggers me and I can't respond in the moment, I end up reacting, then I'm responsible for doing something differently so it continues with my healing journey. And my hope is that you understand what your triggers are and you know what you're going to do with them, not if you get triggered. If you get triggered is BS. We all will get triggered. When you get triggered, what are you going to do about it? The next one that I have here, we only got two more. The next one is to nourish yourself. And nourishing yourself means healing is related to your sleep, to the food you eat, to the movement that you have, to being able to express yourself creatively. It's very, very, very important to nourish yourself. For example, when you eat a food, you got to pause and ask, is this food is this food or is this fuel? Is there any type of value in this food that's going to help me? Is this going to digest easily in my body? Is this going to give me nutrients that I need? Is this going to give me energy? If the answer is yes, when you eat it, you know that you're nourishing yourself. If the answer is no, for example, if I had a maple donut yesterday or tonight I'll have a pizza, I know that it's not nourishing me, but I'm choosing to do it. But as long as I commit that most of the time when I choose to put something in my body, it's nourishing me, right? We're like responsible for that kind of stuff. And life triggers us. And instead of grabbing something that's fuel, we grab something for comfort, something that makes us feel happy. See, they get in the way of the healing journey. Good sleep is important. I mean, I have a sleep routine every night when I sleep. I do certain things, legs up the wall, helps with the nervous system, helps with flexibility, helps with regulating the sleep hormones. I take magnesium, glycinate. I drink some sleepy time tea. I try to make sure that I'm getting, the adequate sleep I need every day, because without it, we just really struggle in life. I say we collectively. Movement is something that's important. I mean, obviously, you guys know I got a pickleball habit. If they ever created a rehab for pickleball, either I'm going to be the greatest instructor of all time or I'll be the greatest client of all time. I don't know which one. I'm either going to be the resident person that keeps checking himself in there, or I'm going to be the therapist that's working with people that are checking themselves in there. Either way, I think it's a part of my future. 12-step program for, maybe I'll start that 12-step program for pickleball addiction. That's a little bit easier to do. The problem is, I think everybody in the place is just going to start playing pickleball. So I don't think it's going to work. The addiction is that strong, just so you guys know. And the last part here that I have is to grow through it. Now, pain can shape wisdom. I want you to think of it this way. Typically, the older we get in life, the more wisdom that we have. Like a child, even though some of them are like, oh my God, this kid is so deep, so old soul, they're still a child. They don't really know much. But the older we get in life, the more wisdom we have. But I want to challenge you to think this. Wisdom doesn't just come from, I never put all my banners up. Oh, that's okay. I wrote them all. Okay, whatever. Growth. It's misspelled. Nourish yourself was the last one. Okay. So when it comes to shaping wisdom, this is actually pretty important. The older we get in life, the more wisdom we have. But it doesn't just come from aging chronologically. I promise it doesn't. Because you can go through life and not have too many trials and tribulations, which is rare, and not really gain any wisdom from it. Wisdom actually comes from deep, transformative, intense pain. When we go through a painful situation, we go deeper into our consciousness. We go deeper into our subconsciousness. We go deeper into the meaning of life. We go deeper into the things that matter. We go deeper into the things that don't matter. And we become a more polished version of ourselves. The same way right now, if I ask you, hey, the person you are right now versus the person you were 25, 30 years ago, who has more wisdom? Which one? If you say the one before, I'm like, all right, either this person just slept for 25 years or they didn't go through anything, which I know is not the case. So when you have pain in life, in your healing journey, man, when I say embrace it, cherish it. It gave you wisdom. That's why we honor it. That's how important it is. And also the last one is when you share your story, help others, or turn loss into purpose, you transform suffering into strength. Your story has been yours up until this moment, but I hope you know that your story is not just yours. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to help bring hope and bring light to places that might be dark. Your story is very unique and it's yours and nobody else is going to have it. But there might be someone that is living a life that's very similar to that experience. And your story gives them a little bit of hope that things are going to be okay. So all that being said, I'm trying to keep these talks a little bit shorter just because the YouTube algorithm doesn't like anything above typically 10, 15 minutes, but I went 20 minutes today just because I like the topic. Trying to do some stuff with YouTube to help the algorithm a little bit more. Sometimes they say the shorter the better, but I like to talk too much and I go on tangents about my aunt's cooking and pickleball addiction. So I kind of screw it up, but it's okay. At least we're having fun. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I love and appreciate all of you. Take care.